Hello guys, hope you all doing good. In this video we'll talk about fuel efficiency. How can you improve? This is not particular to any car or engine type, though there is a difference between petrol and diesel engines, the way how you drive and the way you shift. We'll talk about this in later part of this video, but this is mostly like the habits you should follow to get better fuel efficiency. Coming to this car usually returns about 15 to 17 kilometers per liter, both city and highway considered. But there are instances where I got more than that. In this video, I'll share you the tips you can follow to increase your fuel efficiency as well. The first point of getting better mileage is properly inflating your tires. You might have heard it a lot, but that is the important factor. You make sure you inflate your tires to the car maker recommended value. You can find those values in your door trim or somewhere around your car. The second and most important factor in fuel efficiency is when to change gear. You might think it's silly, but it's not. It's the most important factor in terms of you getting better fuel economy. If you ask me when to change gears, the answer is as soon as possible. Why? Because the lower the RPM, better the efficiency. Why it has better efficiency at lower RPM? If you ask me, the answer is at lower RPMs, the engine friction is much lesser, and also there is much less pumping losses. Pumping losses means the engine need to pull some air into the engine, right? Those will be difficult at higher RPMs, so the engine is more efficient in lower RPMs. So always make sure you are at the lowest RPM possible, and also shift when the load becomes less. The important factor in changing gears is that you need to make sure the load in the engine is constant. You don't want engine to be at higher RPM and very less load. That is a very bad combination. It will not give you any efficiencies. You need to be at lower RPM at a good amount of load, not too much of load. If there is a too much of load, means the engine will start lagging. You might have feel like it might stall sometime. So you need to make sure the engine is at comfortable load and as low RPM as possible. Let's say if 1.5 petrol like this car is comfortable at shifting around 1700 or 1500. If I'm driving alone, I usually shift at 1200 RPM, which is currently it is in fourth gear doing 40 kilometers per hour. It's very comfortable pulling me. But if I had 5 people on the board, it will not comfortably pull. It might need to be at 1500 RPM. Why? Because there is just more load in it. Extra 4 people will add around 350 kgs to a car, a car which is just 1100 kg. So you make sure that you change gears based on the engine load. To understand load better, let's imagine this situation. You are going in a uphill. You might need to change gears a bit later, let's say 1700 RPM. Why? Because the load in the engine is higher. Why there is extra load? Because gravity is pulling your car down. In the same situation, if there is a downhill, means you can shift much earlier, maybe 1000 or below 1000 RPM. So to get best efficiency, shift your gears at right load. Maintain load in your engines. Don't just rev your engines. Higher RPM will consume more fuel generally. So always shift your gears as early as possible, and then make sure not to suffocate your engine. You don't necessarily need to be in higher gear and then flooring it. Make sure it's in its comfortable RPM and then go from there. Then the third point, the most underrated one I would say, which is leaving some buffer space. There is a saying in India, people in India don't drive to the destination, they overtake people in the way to the destination. Yeah, and that's true. Everyone wants to overtake every other car they possibly can. If the person in front brakes, you don't need to brake. If you have some space, you can just take your foot off the accelerator and then get back to it when they are moving. If you just maintain some space around your car, you will have much less stress. if than compared to your driving bumper to bumper, and it is safer and more fuel efficient. Now you can see, like, I am leaving a lot of space around my car. I'll just ride on my accelerator. I don't need to press any brakes, nothing. I don't need to correct. If the car in front corrects, I have space to correct. I have the time. If you are just tailgating someone, you need to do what and all they do. So always make sure you leave some space in front of your car. Coming to the last tip which I have is maintaining speed limits. If you are traveling at higher speeds, let's say 100 or more, you might reach your destination much faster, but at the cost of your fuel consumption. That is for sure. The wind resistance is actually very significant at higher speeds, that people usually don't understand. The wind resistance in 18 kmph and 120 kmph is very high, because wind resistance is square root of your speed. It is not directly proportional. The curve is not like this. If you got 80 and 90, there is a significant difference in wind resistance, because this is square, which means if you double your speed, the wind resistance will quadruple. So the wind resistance at 80 and 120 is very significant, and it will eat a lot of fuel. I'm not stressing out this point. I'm not asking you to hypermile. You can do your speeds, but it will cost a lot of fuel. That you need to keep in mind. Having said that, I think, like, that extra speed, top speed is worth it, because you will save a lot of time. An 80 might be good for fuel efficiency, but maintaining 100 or 120 in highways is very practical. 80 is not practical, so it's up to you. Also, the final gearing of the car matters a lot. A diesel engine is taller geared, but a petrol engine usually is shorter geared. Let's say this Honda City, which has a 5-speed manual transmission, this is shorter geared, because this doesn't have a great grunt at lower RPM. So I'm currently doing like 65 kmph. The engine is already at 2k RPM, which is higher than a diesel car, and most of the 6-speed transmission, I would say. If you are not that enthusiastic about driving, and you see car as a transport, and you just want to go from point A to point B, these tips will be the best suited for you. So guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.